Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nurse Channie, and I am home. I'm always excited when I can film from home. I'm home just for a short time. I am on on the tail end of a 2-week break from my travel assignment. I will be heading back out in a few days, back to Massachusetts to finish the last 6 weeks of my contract. And so, wait, this is my first time filming with my new haircut. So, yes, I cut my hair again, but sidebar, I want to grow my fro back. So in order for me to grow my fro back, I needed to take it low. So we'll see how that goes. So anyway, guess what? It is story time. So I've decided at least once a month, maybe twice a month, I'm going to do story time because I get a lot of questions about nursing stories. Tell me about X, Y, and Z in nursing school or in your career. So I'm going to take it way back to nursing school, and it is story time. So as you can see from the thumbnail, I'm going to tell y'all the most embarrassing thing that happened to me in nursing school. All right, get yourself a drink, some popcorn. Let's get story time popping. So this was my first clinical experience. It wasn't the first day, but it was the first clinical experience, the first time we ever got to go out and lay hands on a patient. So as a nursing student, if you have experienced this, you know that you're very nervous about everything when you first start your clinical rotations. I think this was fundamental assessment. We were doing our clinical rotation at a nursing home, and first of all, I went to a hard school of nursing. Like my students, because I'm a nurse educator too, students in 2019, y'all get away with a lot of stuff that we could not get away with. Like, y'all have a lot of leeway, honey. Trust me when I tell you. My instructors did not play, honey. So this particular day, I had this really staunch, really by the book nursing instructor. She was very scary. So now, if you know me personally, I'm a little late, okay? I'm just a little late all the time. I mean, I have accepted it as a character trait. Sometimes I try to dial it back, but I got the late gene. I got the late bug. I'm late all the time. In nursing school, you cannot be late. This particular day, guess what? Your girl was late, okay? So I am texting my girlfriend like, girl, the traffic is so bad. I'm gonna be late, but what really happens is I dilly-dally a lot in the morning and I play around and it takes me a long time to get dressed, and that's what had happened that day. So I'm texting her like, I'm gonna be late. Did she notice I'm not there? Where are y'all? I'm just trying to feel the situation out, okay? Because I knew I was gonna be in trouble. So I arrive at clinical, I hurry up, grab my stuff, go on in. So I get up to pre-conference. So pre-conference is where you go, your clinical instructor gives out the assignments for the day, you talk about what the plan is going to be for you for the day, and this is where things begin for clinical. So, we normally met in pre-conference, we all sat around in a circle like kumbaya, and, she would give her spiel, give out the assignments, we get to going. So I get there, everybody is already in the circle. And I come in like, good morning. And she's like,
you're late.
Okay, Captain Obvious. I really was trying to be as humble as possible. Like, yes, I'm late. Traffic was bad, giving all the excuses that nursing students give. So she's like,
go ahead and sit down because you're being disruptive.
So I find a seat. She gives out the assignments. I'm writing down report. Cool. I'm like, whew, that was not so bad. Well, she goes,
okay, is everyone prepared for clinical? Does everyone have all of your supplies, everything that you need for the day?
So I'm like, oh, snap. So she's like, what? What don't you have? And I'm like, shoot, I don't have my watch. So part of our clinical uniform was the actual head to toe white uniform, white socks, white shoes, bra, panties, all that good stuff. Your stethoscope, a black pen, a notepad, and a watch with a second hand. But because I was rushing, I didn't pick my watch up. So she's like,
what does it mean when you arrive at clinical and you don't have everything that you need for clinical?
So I was like, ma'am, are you asking me to leave?
She was like, no, I'm asking you, what does it mean when you arrive at clinical and you don't have everything that you need for clinical?
I was like, it means you're not prepared.
She was like, that is correct, and now you may leave.
So I was like, oh my God, like, did she just embarrass me in front of the whole clinical group? Because it probably was like 8 of us. I was like, oh my God, wow, I'm so embarrassed. Like when I asked you, are you asking me to leave? Why didn't you just tell me to leave now? So I get up, grab my bag, and do the walk of shame out the door while everybody is looking like, ooh. So I leave, and I used to be a crybaby when I was in nursing school. Lord, I cried my way through nursing school. So I go to the car. I'm crying. I'm giving myself the blues. Like, why would you be late for clinical? Why didn't you have your watch? You so stupid. Like, I'm just beating myself up. So I text my girlfriend, like, I can't believe she did that to me in front of the whole clinical group. So she was like, I'm gonna talk to her for you. And she's telling her, Professor so-and-so, she feels really bad about being late, da-da-da-da. And so this was a short clinical day. I think the clinical was only like 3 or 4 hours, and she had 2 of them that particular day. So my girlfriend was like, why don't you ask her if you can come back for the second clinical for the day? Because in my school of nursing, there really was no room to make up hours for clinical. Like, in order to make up hours for clinical, you had to do stuff like go to the lab for 8 hours. And just when you're in nursing school, your time is slim, especially if you are or were a student like myself, where I was a non-traditional student. I had children. At that time, I still had a full-time job. So I'm trying to work a job, be a mom, be a wife, go to nursing school. I didn't have time to make up no hours on a different day. So I humbled myself and I call her and I'm like, Professor, I apologize for being late this morning. Is there any way possible you would allow me to come back to your second session? And she allowed me to come back for the second session. But I don't think she ever forgot that I was late for clinical that day. Or do you know how sometimes you have an experience with someone and it rubs you the wrong way about that person just from that one encounter, because, first impressions are lasting. And ever since that day, I feel like she had it out for me. I'm not going to lie. And I'm going to tell you why. So fast forward, I had to deal with her in other classes as I continued to matriculate in nursing school. She taught other classes. She advised me one semester. I just feel like she was always overly hard on me. So that probably was like 2005 or 6. Let's fast forward to 2018. 2018, one of the OB instructors was looking for a clinical instructor at the school of nursing I went to. So I talked with her. She tells me about the position. I have the experience. I've been teaching since 2010, doing clinical, no problem. I can teach your clinical rotation. And so I have the credentials. I have everything you need. We talked. She's like, come in and fill the paperwork out. So I go to my alma mater and I'm so excited to be there. And I run into this professor who's still teaching at my school of nursing. And so when I see my nursing instructors, I still regard them as professor, even though now we are colleagues. We got the same credentials. We're both nurses. Like, we're on the same level. But I still say, hey, Professor so-and-so, to all of them if I see them in the community. Well, I saw her and I'm like, hey, Professor. And she's like, hey, what are you doing here? So I'm like, oh, I'm here to interview for a clinical position. And she's like, oh, okay. So I am waiting for them to call me back for this interview. I go out to my car to feed the meter. I come back in. I go back in. They're like, oh, they're ready for you now. Guess who was sitting at the interview table? I'm not lying. She came into my interview. Now, this particular instructor is not an OB instructor. To my knowledge, she doesn't have any OB experience. Why are you here for my interview for an OB position, ma'am? Honey, I go into this interview and this lady is like grilling me. Well, it looks like you have not completed your master's degree. Do you have the credentials for this position? I'm thinking, oh shoot, did I print out an old resume? Because I finished my master's degree in 2013. I'm like, wait a minute. So I look at it and I'm like, no, everything is appropriate on the resume. And she's like, oh. So then she's like, well, tell me, when you were in grad school, what kind of research did you do on an OB topic? So I'm like, what is going on? I'm thinking, sis, I'm just coming in here to talk about the position. I know we were doing a real interview. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I said, excuse me. I said, is this interview regarding a position to teach the theory portion of this course or clinical? Because to my knowledge, a research-based project is not something that I would need to have in order to teach this course. And she's like, that is correct. But because you've gone to graduate school, surely you've done some type of research. So I'm having to pull a rabbit out of my hat like, oh yeah, I did research on this particular drug and da-da-da-da. And I mean, she's like, and tell me more, and tell me more. And the other two people who I was supposed to interview with were just... So I was like, well, clearly I'm not going to get this position because this lady still is not featuring me. And I did not get a call back about that position. There's no reason. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I am saying that I have the credentials for it. I had the experience. The interview, although she grilled me, the interview from my perspective still went well. It is my alma mater. Wouldn't you want the students that you have taught and poured into to come back and give back to current students? Like, there's no reason why I should not have gotten that position, but I sure didn't get a call back. I'm just going to say that my personal feeling is because of this interaction that I always had with this particular instructor, it was a no for me. Which kind of made me sad because, again, it is my school of nursing and I'm proud to be a graduate of my school of nursing. I was a good student. I didn't have any issues in nursing school. I mean, and it just would have made me proud to work for my school of nursing. And it's just unfortunate that for whatever reason, I did not get that position. There's no love lost. I'm still repping for my school of nursing. But people sometimes do not forget their experiences with you. So remember that. Remember that, nursing students, when you all are in clinical, mind your behavior, okay? Be on time, follow the rules of the clinical rotation. Make sure that you are meeting the mark because you never know if you might see your instructors again and you may need a letter of recommendation. You may need some advice from them once you finish nursing school. So you always want to have a good rapport and you always want to show up as the best version of yourself, especially in nursing school. So that experience of not having a watch, you know, it was a lofty lesson that I learned about not having a watch for clinical that day. And I will never forget how embarrassed I felt when she really, really grilled me and embarrassed me in front of my peers. And I had to tiptoe out like, alrighty then. So If you have any experiences where you have an embarrassing moment from nursing school or even from your nursing career, drop a comment down below. Let's talk about it. Sometimes you gotta laugh to keep from crying, and that was one of those situations. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please hit that notification bell so that you never miss a video from the Know It All Nurse channel. I'll talk to you later. Peace out.